Everyone, thank you so much for taking the time out of your Saturday to join us on this Zoom meeting. It's definitely, I think it's a new venture that people are exploring into, and I don't think it's not going to be done. um, with everything that is happening now in our society with the pandemic, how we've been advocating for landlords since 2010, we feel that there's got to be more from our members now, more so than ever. So right now we've always been a very strong group, and what we've created in the last 10 years is that we have a Facebook group. We're friends. We are helping each other through the day-to-day operations. You guys are helping us create that initial report of what the issues are in the Residential Tenancies Act, the Landlord and Tenant Board, and you're giving us solutions, things that we can work into our report. So when we send this report out to our elected officials, we're gathering it from our members. Now, as we're doing this throughout the last 10 years, we're finding, why isn't it going? Like, what are we doing wrong? So with the Residential Tenancies Act, if everyone had a report and we're sending it to elected officials, we had meetings with the assistants to the Minister of Housing, two of them, so Parm Gill and Christine Hogarth. We've had our time with all of our MPs, the MPs, city councillors, regional councillors, but the one thing that we haven't been doing properly is that we're not being able to get our PR. We're not able to get our funding that is needed to get us to the next level. Like, I would love to get our posters out there, like, don't pay rent on the first. But again, we want to keep Ontario Landlords Watch a group that is on Facebook. We're here for you. We're by phone, email, telephone, you name it. And we always want to keep that free for our members so that we always can keep helping one another. Now, in saying that, we're going to have an understanding that we've had problems with the RTA well before this pandemic. It was overloaded. We had too many claims, not enough adjudicators. The policies were so bad. It was being abused by the tenants. And that was one aspect of what we were doing to lobby. And then we came into the pandemic. And I was talking to someone on the phone, and I was like, I feel like the game of Monopoly. And that was our theme for the conference. And now it feels like the bank just took all of our houses, completely took all of our houses. They're leaving us high and dry, and we're not about to the point where we're trying to lift this eviction right now. We understand that it is a pandemic. We don't want to have anyone evicted, but through this pandemic, we have our understanding that it's a necessity. Everyone, if you're watching all of the different type of press conferences, people are asking about rent. They're asking about utilities. They're asking about your healthcare and utilities. And our elected officials had came out and said, they didn't say don't pay your hydro bill. They just said they're cutting down the rate. And then they don't tell you to go ahead and stop paying for your groceries, just go in and take it, or they're not telling the grocers to drop their price down. But they can come out and tell everyone that don't worry about paying rent, evictions are on hold. And now the tenant activists, they're asking for the rent forgiveness along with everything being on hold. And I'm not too sure what this rent forgiveness is, but we can't forgive these type of rents. So we really need to be working at the fact that we need to be asking for a rent subsidy. And I think if we're all singing the song, the same dance, we're going to be able to get that rent subsidy to handle through this current pandemic and guiding our tenants through the process of where they're able to get money. And this will be, we've contacted a lawyer just to get their opinion on things. And it's like, we can go to the courts, we can get an appeal based on the court order from the Supreme Court of Justice. But again, that's going to take some time, and it's also going to take $10,000, and it's also going to take $250 an hour. So we're kind of at a part that we're not quite there yet in a way for us to get that lawyer. And I think we still can work with the elected officials based on the solutions that we come across. And they're not listening to us. We have very much different categories of landlords. We have our big ones, we have our mid-sized ones, and we have our small ones. And the small landlords are the ones who are being not listened to. We have so many landlords in Ontario, the small and pop operations. They're the ones who are bringing this type of supply to the market. And we need to be caring as landlords, because if you look at what we pay through our taxes from building subsidized housing, managing it, subsidizing, doing all the maintenance and the repairs, and then you have the taxes portion. Like, I don't understand why the government would want to be involved. And when we have so many people in our country who has now become homeless, but they can't keep building up enough units to really go ahead and supply the market of what is actually needed. So they understand it's a supply and demand issue. It's not an affordable housing crisis. Now, everything that's happening with Bill 184, everything been put on hold. We still need to be advocating, and I know it's not the greatest time that we're doing this, because it is a pandemic and we're lucky that we're all going to make it out alive. But at the same time, with it, housing being a necessity, there needs to be a plan in place now, and it needs to be a plan now in place for the future. Now, with saying that, I want to come on tonight and get your opinion, so that if I was a councillor or an MPP or Justin Trudeau or Doug Ford, whoever you want to picture me to be, we want you to come on and say who you are, what city you're from, what issues you have with the current RTA and the LTB, how you're handling this pandemic, and are your tenants paying? Because right now we're all kind of concerned about April 1st. I'm like, no, it's going to be the months after that. It's going to be more layoffs that are going to be happening. And with everyone knowing that everything is on hold, it's not just on hold from non-payment of rent. It's on hold for people who are ruining the enjoyment of others. It has landlords strapped where, you know, they're not all being qualified for this defer. And it's like a smoke and mirror that our elected officials are doing right now to make it look like it's all good, but it's not. So we need to make sure that we are having your voices heard and being able to do that tonight and send this video to them. And then after we're getting your input on what's going on, we want to be able to tell you what our next plans are and get your opinion on that. So who do we have that wants to come on right now? I'm waiting for your chats, guys. David, you want to come on, David?
I'm happy to talk if you need me to say something, Kayla.
Okay, hold on. I'm just going to get David on.
Okay, sure. No problem.
Hope you guys don't hear my baby.
Okay. Kind
Hi,
of
David.
unexpected. Hey.
How are you?
Oh, not bad. Yourself?
You know, we're surviving. We're surviving.
Yeah, I believe you. I believe you. So I'm from Toronto. That's where I live. My rental properties are in Hamilton. I'm okay to a point. Like, one tenant already paid 2/3 of the rent for April. In fact, she sent me a little picture. It was kind of funny. I don't know if it can be seen, but it just says, "I like my landlord. I'm not going to skip paying. If you don't want to pay yours, that's your prerogative. And remember, if you skip paying now, you'll have to pay it at some point, meaning you'll just be behind." That's how she understood it. I mean, I sent a letter when it came to flexibility. My concern is, like, something needs to be done when it comes to the evictions and the non-payment of rent, because reaches a point. It's like in anything. I mean, I think if we look at it this way, governments can't provide services if money doesn't come in as well. You know, no money comes in, no services can be provided because there's no money for them. It's the same thing. We can't do anything for our tenants if the rent isn't paid. You know, rent forgiveness, it's just not possible for about 9 out of 10. And even if it was possible for the 1 out of 10, it's still not fair, because it's their livelihood at the same time, one way or the other.
Yep.
The rent needs to come in. I, for one, depend on it because I was 2 years without working due to an MVA, on your fatal MVA. And unfortunately now I'm not getting income replacement benefits. So right now, and I'm not working. My job is not necessarily deemed essential because I'm an interpreter. So it's not deemed essential. So I'm out of work. My tenants know the situation. I'm okay with them. But before, I had 2 tenants who skipped on rent. One was an Ontario Works recipient, and her, just her. And the other one was an ODSP recipient before her with the boyfriend. Total, I think it's about 15 grand in rent that was lost. So I won't be able to get it back. It's kind of unfair. Like something needs to be done where I'm not saying it's so easy necessarily to evict, where you just say you're gone and that's it. But there needs to be something worked out where, okay, an eviction process is going to happen. It shouldn't take long, especially when a lot of eviction issues are very clear. You have not paid the rent. So why is there a delay?
Mhm.
What could possibly justify someone to say, I haven't paid rent for 3, 4, or 5 months? And then it takes months just to be heard again. And during that time, they're still in the unit and they haven't even made one payment.
Mhm.
So either like something's done, or at least try to look at the evictions for the different reason. What can be done to speed it up in a way?
Now, so I want to bounce this off of you. So if we have the non-payment rent,
Yeah.
non-payment rent, there's no reason for them to withhold it. So why they're having hearings for it is beyond me. But if you worked it that your non-payment rent, we'll give the forms to our tenants. If we have a mediator / customer service officer at the Landlord and Tenant Board capable of reaching out to those tenants, having the landlord either on a joint conversation through the phone, maybe on the computer, just like the way that we're doing this right now, because everyone has access to email. I can't even order my kids pizza unless you have an, and there's always family members can help someone if they need it to be on there as well. So now if we have our customer service officer saying, okay, well, what is the situation? Why can't you pay? Have you contacted Lutherwood? It's called Lutherwood in our area, but in other municipalities, it's a different name to it. But initially it's called a rent bank. And the rent bank will bring in, it's a first come, first served basis. The tenants come in, they give a description of or a printout of what's in their bank account, if they're working or not working, and is it a loan or a forgivable loan, or do they have to pay it back? And that's something that if you are having to go to the Landlord and Tenant Board, and we filed at the Landlord and Tenant Board, if we're able to, assist our tenants on here are the type of agencies that can help you, and then they can keep a track record on who's actually abusing it, because they will see how many times you've went to that agency to get bailed out from your delinquent status. But at the same time, we have to put it in perspective that they got to know that they can't abuse that matter as well. And if we are having the customer service officers helping the tenants get through that initial screening process of getting funds, then we shouldn't be having all of these 58,423 applications being brought to the Landlord and Tenant Board for non-payment of rent.
If another thing I thought of to me is like with my Ontario Works tenant recipient, she didn't show up for the hearing. To me, I wouldn't mind seeing an express enforcement if that provision, even if we paid a little bit more. It's like, okay, you went in, you showed up, the tenant didn't. Here is your express pay even a little bit extra with an enforcement. You take this to, like in my case, it was in Hamilton, you take this to the Hamilton police. They will accompany, even if it takes an hour later for them, they will accompany with someone to change the locks, and the tenant is escorted out, and they are no longer entitled to what's in there. Because if you don't even show up to the hearing, that means you don't care. Therefore, there's no point in you continue. Like, even if it cost us a little bit extra to a point, it would be better. Just my way of looking, just kind of presenting it in a way that, I remember a gentleman saying, present it in a way that shows money will also be in their pockets to a degree, a legal way, not a bribe, but just this is also a benefit. Why not? Because if the tenant didn't bother showing up, so might as well just say, okay, I want to pay for an express enforced eviction. Go, and that's it. And you go in there, you didn't show up, never mind. Locks are changed, you lose entitlement to whatever's in there, and that's it. No chance even to come back later.
And when you talk about people on OW and ODSP, having the funds directed to the landlord, it makes everything more simple. It makes things more secure, because sometimes we have people who are, dealing with addiction, or they're dealing with mental health. And if you can have to know that their shelter payments are being made, and it doesn't allow them to take that money and spend it, or have to tap into the rent bank situation, then you're being able to secure, but they give us the feelings that, you know, everyone has a right to pay their bills, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Some people are using that in the wrong way of doing things. But if we had a way for, you know, even for the way that you don't show up to these hearings, that's why telephone hearings are going to be a good thing, because that gives them no reason to not show up. And this way they don't use it as a tactic to drag on the landlord and tenant board process. And when you sit there and you talk to elected officials until you're blue in the face and they don't know exactly what's happening because of the fact that they don't have their boots on the ground. And that's something that they need to understand, is that they need to listen to us, because in reality, if we kept putting our funds into putting into this rent subsidy, rent bank situation, making sure OW and ODSP recipients are able to get the money to their landlord, then we're also opening the doors for these people as well, because technically every landlord now says it's too much of a risk, and it's going to save the government a lot more money in the long run, simply because of the fact that how much is it costing the government now with temporary shelters in the region of Waterloo? It's $70 to $90 a day just to house them in the shelters. Then that's not including the cost for motels. And for hospitals, it's $400 a day to house people in the hospitals, because they can't find accessible accommodations for people living in the hospital, not to mention all of the government housing that is being built. And if you talk to anyone who's the biggest slum landlord out there, they would say government housing, because they don't have enough to keep maintaining it. So number one is our group, and what we're going to be lobbying for is the way that we handle our N4s, the way that we handle the non-payment of rent. And this is something that we have to teach our tenants, that the bill that needs to be paid is your rent. And right now, through this pandemic, it looks like it's the last thing that people want to pay.
I've even contemplated that if things get a little calmer, just to find out what is necessary to be trained as an adjudicator.
Mm-hmm.
The landlord, and because me as an interpreter, I've gone as far as Sarnia and St. Thomas to interpret. So I don't mind even going once a month to Ottawa because I know there's a shortage there, in case there's a backlog because they don't have adjudicators.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind. I'm used to it.
Well, David, thank you so much for giving me your opinion on tonight. I'm going to get someone else on. Who else is ready to come on tonight? We're going to get as many voices to these elected officials as possible, because we can't do our rally that we were thinking of.
Kayla, I can go if you want.
Perfect. Sarah, how are you?
Good, I'm good. So I am officially, I guess, your Director of Community Engagement. Super excited.
You can't just
Oh, okay. All right, so that's for later. So a little bit about me. So I am a landlord as well. I own 12 units, 6 more coming in May. I'm also the co-founder of the Right Club, who has thousands of other landlords that are part of it in Southern Ontario. So I think the issue that we have is going to be an issue that's here today. It's an issue that was there yesterday, and it's an issue that's going to be there tomorrow. Part of the Residential Tenancies Act is just very geared towards tenants, unfortunately, right? And so I think you mentioned one of the things where the N4 process, that's a very long process. With everything being closed now, and the Landlord Tenant Board having shut their doors, there's a lot of people that have reached out to me and mentioned, for example, that they were very close to getting their actual eviction. They were already waiting 3-4 months without having payment from their tenants. And now all of a sudden they're going to be waiting who knows how long. Here's my concern. I was just reading today, Airbnb is offering relief to their superhosts. And if you meet certain criteria, they're just going to give you a grant of $5,000 to help you. That's a great company that takes care of their customers. In my opinion, we should be the customers, and we should be looked at as people that are working together, rather than, oh, this rich, bad landlord, they're very greedy, this and that, these poor little tenants. Here's the thing is, we are the ones that are providing the majority of the housing. And if it wasn't for us, we would have an even bigger crisis. We're already capped with the fact that we can barely increase the amount of rent that we can charge per month, or per year rather, 2.2%. I mean, what is that ultimately? All of our bills are much higher than that. So to me, that's concerning, where there's a lot of people that are having to pay all the utilities on top of that. There's a lot of things that have been going on for a long time, and we've just dealt with it and sucked it up. But I mean, at some point we need to say this is enough. You know, we are here to provide clean, affordable housing, but we're in it to still make money. We wouldn't be doing this if we were losing money every single month. This is a business at the end of the day. We're happy to be fair. We expect fairness in return. And I think the concern I have is there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say, you know what, screw the system. I'm out of here, or I'm going to do short term, or I'm going to go somewhere else where I'm appreciated. I'm just going to take my cash now and just enjoy a much more peaceful, headache-free life. So we're going to lose, in my opinion, a lot of landlords that are getting into this. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are not going to be able to ride this wave, because as soon as your tenants stop paying, luckily mine have paid, but I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this because collectively we need to stand together and we need to fight for justice that makes sense for everybody, not just the tenants, landlords as well. But at the end of the day, we really, really need to say, this is a good business, and it's a fair business, but unfortunately, if a tenant stops paying, we have other avenues other than having to lose our properties and lose everything. You know, a lot of the landlords are not going to be able to defer mortgages. If your tenants are not paying, I was listening to the radio, there's a landlord that has an 8-plex, all tenants did not pay. How long do you think that person can actually carry that property on their own? And why would they want to? You're going to see a lot of sales. You're going to see a lot of people getting out of the market. That's my concern. And it can be good business.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, you're dead on. Like, this is even the 2.2% that you mentioned. We want to be able to say there's condos are different, all-inclusive rental properties, and then you have rental properties that are plus utilities. There needs to be a balance of what the municipalities are increasing their utility rates and how we can work that into the rates of our rents. And there's got to be the fair balance approach, because we're deemed to be the enemy right now with the tenants. We're there to be, you know, working against the government. We need to be working together if they want to keep that supply up. Now, the next person that we have going is Alex Pale. Do we have Alex? You're
Yes,
going to unmute yourself, buddy.
How are you?
Not bad. Thanks so much for joining in tonight.
Thank you. I have a tremendous amount of gratitude for you and what you guys have been doing. This is fantastic. So my name's Alex Powell. My wife and I own just over 40 doors all throughout, you know, Hamilton, Niagara Falls, Welland, Kitchener. We actually were one of the lucky ones. So we had a tenant who was a longtime tenant. We've gotten much more efficient at our screening process now, but he decided in September he didn't want to pay rent anymore. So September 1st, no rent came in. Our hearing date, after we went through the proper process, came in at February 20th. So after our hearing date, he's already accumulated, I think it was $8,600 of non-payment of rent. And so then they gave him until March 15th to move out. So he moved out March 15th, but we were literally just on the cusp. And luckily now we have it vacant, so we can kind of start fresh. But we were also lucky in the fact that we didn't have to call the sheriff in this particular situation, because if we had to call the sheriff, they would have projected the first week of April. And that first week of April is what we're in right now. And are you telling me, like, he wouldn't have moved? And then all of a sudden we're going to push this thing into a whole year. And it was, unfortunately, you know, we had to go through it to see truly how bad this whole thing was. And I truly, you know, it's terrible to think about the other people. Like, we have clients and stuff that we're working with right now that have tenants in there that are like, they were just on the cusp of getting finally evicted, and now they're stuck in there, and they're still carrying the mortgages. And if, you know, they're worried about going for this debt relief for their mortgages, because at the end of the day, it doesn't look good in their lender's eyes. And so, you know, I've been thinking a lot about it, and I 1,000% support the movement towards this N4, because you've hit the nail on the head. That is where the majority of these issues are coming from. I mean, you think about it, you can get jail time for stealing a $5 stick of gum, and someone takes $8,500 or $8,600 out of our pocket, and now I have to go apply at the small claims court because he's taken off. I don't know where the guy is. I got his driver's license and all that, but he's taken off. He's not planning to pay it. So now I got to go through the court proceedings, find an opportunity to garnish his wages, if that even exists, right? And if I can even do that.
Well, and that's the thing, you got to track down where they live or where they work.
Yeah, exactly. So now I got to get paralegals involved. There's a cost. And what I, kind of echoing what Sarah had just said too, is that I think that the government doesn't truly understand the value that landlords bring. Because if you think about it, it's value at the end of the day. And I see investors as an economic driving force, and that's what we are. Like when we buy properties, we're renovating them, we're making them brand new, we're evaluating them at higher values. And yes, we're doing that for a profit, but don't think that the government's not hiking up our taxes because now our property is valued more. So now they're hiking up our taxes, and those taxes go towards building schools and roads and whatever. We're employing lawyers, contractors, accountants, these people working at the LTB. We're employing all these people.
Because we're going to the LCBO.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like, no. The renters don't have to pay. The government doesn't have to help, but here's the landlord squeezed in the middle, and it doesn't make sense. And I'm really hoping that through this whole pandemic, what's actually going to come to fruition is that as you had mentioned it, the pendulum swung so far to the one side that they're going to be in such a backlog that something has to happen. But the fear is that they're going to ride it out, and then it's just going to be, they'll hope that they'll catch it up. And realistically, their solution to this was, we'll need to get more adjudicators. That's a stupid solution, because it's not going to work. You have to change the model, right? Because the model right now doesn't work. I don't think you need someone appointed.
$110,000 salary is what they're wanting to hire adjudicators. And they want to be able to not only, they can't even deal with the non-payment of rents and the N5s and the N12s, but now they want to, with Bill 184, they want to take on water billing. No, we don't even want to go to water billing right now with small claims court, because you got to balance it out. How much is the bill, small claims, whatever. But at the same time, it's just about us feeding a giant that we're paying for a service and we're not even getting that service.
Now, I can truly understand adjudication or even mediation in itself, when you have complex issues, whatever they are, But if someone's not paying rent, I'm sorry, if I don't pay rent in a hotel, what is that hotel staff doing? They're kicking my ass out.
And Alex, even if we look at complicated issues such as maybe non-payment of rent, it's one thing, but when you have maintenance is what they tend to put these type of policies and procedures and the responsibilities and the handcuffs for landlords. But when tenants actually get to have their MPP, their counselors, they have property standards, they have a way of work themselves in a way that we have to be completely controlled by the way that they're doing it. And it's like, no, tenants always feel protected. But in reality, if we're creating more of a supply, you can actually have that tenant now not feeling handcuffed to that slum landlord, because we do have our slum landlords out there. Now they can go and explore other rental units. And they can, if you want to leave the landlord at, a month's dry on it, just so you can relocate, at least it's 1 month, not 7, not 12, not 18 months.
Totally. And I don't know, the scary part is that how powerless landlords really are at the end of it all. If, these renters all decide, that this rent strike, is such a great idea, all of a sudden we don't get rent, and then the government's not supporting us. We're literally, the void is just creating this massive gap. And, I hate to come at it from an idea of, where can we be on the aggressive stance, but I don't know what options exist. Like, do we go on a property tax, strike and not pay our property taxes collectively?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, if all the renters out there stop paying their property taxes, maybe like people would pay attention, because at the end of the day, they can't take over our properties right away, right? I don't know. I'm just, even saying that is like, it sounds ridiculous and childish almost to me to have to resort to that, because like, why can't we have people who are not completely biased in government positions? Why can't, I don't know. Don't
worry, buddy. We'll just stay.
And that's why I'm so grateful you are actually like, you're a voice that I will do whatever it takes to make echo further than it can. So thank you.
Make sure you tune in for after our interviews, because we're gonna give you the game plan, and we're gonna need your assistance. That's for sure. Thank you so much, Alex. Now we have a list of people I'm trying to go for, so we'll try to map it around like 4 minutes if we can kind of get that out there. I got Charmin. He or she, I'm sorry, but I want to give you a shot on the camera here because you're got our chat on the go and you're getting me on the go.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight.
No problem. So thank you very much for doing this. So actually, I wanted to share. I have written to like every MPP, every MP on this issue. So I've got some responses, and Kyle, I forwarded you a couple of them as well. As soon as I hear back from them. So my situation is I just have one income property, and I bought it 3-4 years back. I've had 3 tenants in the last 3 years, and all of them have missed one rent, and there was nowhere to go because everybody person I talked to, they said, don't even worry, it's not worth the efforts. And now I gave it to a tenant, a family who's been living there for a couple of years. I talked to him last week. He said, yeah, I lost my job. I said, can you provide me a proof? I said, I don't have proof. I used to work on cash. So today I called him. I said, let's work out a payment plan. I even sent him a text because I wanted it to be in writing. I called him, can we work out a payment plan? He said, I don't even have money for food. How can I pay your rent? Don't worry about it. So when I get the money, he just kept on discarding me. And I said, like, I'm not even asking for full. Let's work on a payment plan. Give me 500 now and all that stuff. He was not ready to work out. He said, no, I don't have money. I'll let you know when I get money from the government, how much I can pay. He just discarded me totally. So no reason after that. I said, okay, that's fine. Let me know if I can help you with groceries or anything like that. So yeah, we'll let you know. So I was trying to be as nice, and that's why I wrote in my messages also, let me know if I can help you in any way. So now I feel like, as somebody wrote, we feel like hostages here, that we have actually spent so much money on this and there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And if you want to go to landlord tenant board or anything like that, it's too frustrating and too expensive and cumbersome. So we want, like, my suggestion was, like, we work with the government, and I can seriously see the government is basically ignoring us, every level of government. And is I'm not saying, okay, get involved, get me money from my tenant, but at least have a procedure where we can voice our concerns, and there's some mediation from a government and saying, okay, why are you not paying rent? Because currently every tenant's impression is, if I don't pay rent, they can't even touch me.
Yeah.
That's what we want to get away with, right? At least have some fear. Now they have price gouging website and all that stuff. There should be a website where you can report tenants who are not paying, who are basically abusing the system, right? And not even willing to work with landlords, so that the government can get into it and work with those and say, why are you not paying? Or have some kind of aid available where we can, either landlords can tap in or renters can tap in. And after that, the government works with them to actually get that money back. Because definitely after this crisis ending, like, I'm sorry to say, but many of us might lose a lot of money with this undue rent. And my biggest fear is, with this landlord tenant board, they will just leave the house and go away. We
Yeah.
can't do anything, right?
It's bad enough right now that it's like, hey, we want to do a rent strike. Now it's about rent forgiveness. And when you have our elected officials coming out to say, if it's about food or it's about rent, put the food on the table. You're not going to be evicted. But he's not saying, like, you're not being evicted right now. Are you going to be evicted in 18 months from now? And is there adjudicators, when we finally get to the board, able to work out a payment plan? And how long would that payment plan be going on for? So we have to start analyzing about what we do as small landlords and what the government does for their type of development, because what they're not working simultaneously together. Like, for us, we watch what's going on in the region of Waterloo, and they had created a 48 unit apartment building. The land was gifted to the developer by a church, and overall costs from federal, provincial, municipal, and crowdfunding of $5 million, the total is $12.7 million. Now we're putting it into perspective. Okay, 12.7 million, divide that into $70,000. You could create a $70,000 nice 2-bedroom unit for $70,000. You could probably get away with 50, but $70,000, and jumping that into secondary suites. And if you did that, you could create 181 units versus having 48 units. And then they also provided housing or secondary income to 181 homeowners. But what they keep doing is they're working against, it's like a fish swimming upstream. And that's why we're going to continue to have this housing crisis.
Yeah, and my problem is, like, I want to get some like feedback also from the team and help. Is like, where do I go now? They're saying, keeps writing, landlords, please work with your tenants. And I write to him, can you help us as well? We are not the bad guys. We don't want to be the bad guys here, but we need money to pay our bills. I talked to my bank and they're charging me $250 to delay mortgage, right? And that's an interest. And on top of that, Mr. Steve Class posts on Twitter, you can't even charge them interest rate, right? So we just feel we are left alone here. There's nobody who's supporting us.
Well, we're here to support you now, buddy. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining on. I have a list of people here, so I want to try to get as many voices on here tonight. So we have, Catherine, I haven't forgot about you, my dear. I want to get you on, but we're going to put Michelle McDonald on if we can. And hopefully everyone can put a camera just so that we can have our pretty faces. We got to put a face to the small landlords, the ones that are on the front lines. There you go. Thank you.
So
Yeah, I had not, sorry, I had not dyed my beard. That's why I didn't want it to come off.
Well, thank you very much.
So I purchased my units, and a lot of them are condos. So, you know, you need 30% down as an investor when you buy pre-construction. When you get into a lease, you're into a contractual obligation with each other. And the government is now basically saying, lease? You don't need that. You don't pay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. We're stuck, basically held hostage with that. They're saying it's okay not to honor a lease. The government is allowing it. Not only are they allowing them to do this, they're actively participating in this crime. Mm-hmm. So it's not just the tenant, it's the government is actively saying, it's okay, don't worry about it. I didn't sign up to facilitate this level of charity because that's basically what it's become. I personally don't have any tenants that are not paying for this. It goes out there, and the risk is becoming higher and higher as time goes on. Every year that goes by, the risk is higher and higher. It's a level of charity and blatant theft that the government is actively also participating and allowing them to do. People are living off of the landlords. Landlords are required to now have, you know, another source of income because bills continue to be paid. Yep. Because otherwise it affects us, it affects our lending capability, it also affects us providing any housing for people to live in if we don't continue to pay stuff. So we have to keep a roof over everyone's head, not just ours, the tenants as well. Mm-hmm. So we need to come up with faster evictions, or I cannot see some of my friends who are really suffering out there right now with this pandemic, and we're already before having several tenants not paying. Mm-hmm. With all the delays, I can see them actually losing units and actually just saying, I'm out of this business. Myself, I'm going to be getting out of this business. The only one that I want to keep is my triplex and my cottage. That's all I want to keep. Because this is not what I signed up for. This is what it's forced me to become. And I don't like what I'm forced to become because I'm powerless. And I don't like having that much risk of an investment and being this powerless and being held hostage by a government. Yeah. I can't work like that.
They're using us as their government housing. We're not government housing. We're not doing this like where they can forgive it. They're probably still collecting from their residents that are in government housing right now as well, and probably going to have they've already had about $500,000 in write-offs from people who weren't paying their rent who are actually in government housing. So for us to say, like, we were already having a hard time before trying to convince homeowners to turn their basements into secondary suites. We can't keep building these big buildings and expect that the rent is going to be $800, $900. You need to start utilizing what we have, and it's going to be about not making it so hard through municipal policies that make you go through hoops to get a secondary suite. We want to put an extension on there. But in reality, it's so hard the way that they treat you when you finally have to go to the Landlord Tenant Board that we don't even, because if someone goes, oh, I would love to turn my basement into a secondary suite. What is it like being a landlord? Oh, the RTA. Oh, the LTB. Oh, yeah, it's going to take forever to get these people out. No, I'll keep it empty. I'll put it into a games room for the guys, whatever, because of the fact that all the laws are tilted towards protecting tenants, and now tenants have taken it because it's so tilted towards them, and now they're completely abusing it. And we can do so much together if they just come on and start working with us. Right now, they give us a tool bag, but there's no tools inside of it. And we can say, we can create the supply. We can convince homeowners to create secondary suites, but you have to bend a little bit and give us the RTA and the LTV in a way to deal with people who are abusing their landlords and trying to get ourselves established as a proper business and a proper one to be listened to by the elected official, because we're not these big landlords. We don't have thousands and thousands of tenants that are there being able to, some are paying and you'd be able to keep afloat.
But it's even more than that, Kayla. The level of like the level of fraud that I've seen at the Landlord and Tenant Board. Just if you have a day off, just go sit. Just go pack a lunch and go sit there for the day. And I've seen the level of fraud, like fraudulent sick notes that tenants have passed off that have been found to be fraudulent. Hospital letters. Oh, I couldn't come to my meeting or my hearing because I was in the hospital. There was one lawyer there who actually proved that it was not an actual letter because he had it from the HR department that doctor didn't actually work there and didn't even exist at that hospital. They were still given time. Oh, we'll have to come back for another meeting. We'll give you more time to pay. So another
That's exactly why the delays are at the Landlord and Tenant Board too, from people doing that.
But how can you commit that level of fraud and the government's okay with it? You and I do it?
Well,
Have laws on the books for that. Why are they actively participating in allowing that?
Michelle, we're going to have you on again very soon. Stay tuned. So we have Catherine O'Neill. Do we have Catherine O'Neill? We'll get you with your face.
Yep. Thank you for letting me speak. I live in Mississauga. I have 7 doors in Guelph, Burlington, and Windsor. My tenants have all paid. I sent them a message in advance offering terms if they needed them, but they didn't respond back and they paid. I have had no experience with the Landlord Tenant Board, so I can't speak to that. But I did want to speak a little bit on the PR. In addition to some of the things you're talking about to address problems, we need to be able to be addressing our I'm an engineer and I'm a member of the Professional Engineers of Ontario, and so that influences the way I'm looking at this. There's an industry association to protect, support, and promote engineers. It's a voluntary organization that over time has become so powerful that now if you don't join it, you can't call yourself an engineer. But it didn't always. And if you're not following it, then you're
Hold on, Catherine. It's a little bit choppy. Do you want to just repeat the last bit there? It's just
sure. So the professional engineers have a code of conduct that their members need to follow. Be professional, makes them have some sort of credibility. They have enforcement, so that if you're not so you don't have that, and there's that you pay.
Catherine, you're really choppy right now, but I know what I'm getting pieces and I'm getting excited from what I'm hearing, and I want to make you come across clear.
Let me see if I can, by stopping the video, and then if that doesn't work, then then I can share with you privately.
Yeah, right now you're clear without the video on.
Okay, so code of conduct, and we could apply that to landlords, who I think we should be calling ourselves home providers, because none of us are a lord and many of us don't have land, but we all provide homes. So if we started to call ourselves home providers, that resets our role in Ontario. a code of conduct for home providers. And we provide homes for them, and the tenants have rights, but we have rights too. Enforcement. So if there are slumlords, I don't think any of us would want to be a slumlord, and we don't want slumlords to be part of our group. They give us a bad name, and so if there's some sort of enforcement associated with that. And then finally, money for advocacy and lobbying government, because the government doesn't know what we don't tell it. And
Sorry,
so,
Catherine, do you have any other windows open on your computer?
no.
Okay. I want to hear everything that you're saying right now. I want to be able to do a one-on-one with you. Can we connect after this so that I can do a one-on-one video with you?
Absolutely.
And then in the meantime, just because everyone's on, if you could take what you're actually saying too and put it in the chat.
Sure.
And then that way we can at least get, because I'm already, I know where you're leading to, and I think it's fantastic. So I want to do a one-on-one with you. So we're going to be able to connect, and we'll do a one-on-one Zoom, and then we'll have it available for our members as well.
Okay. Very good.
Thanks so much, hon.
Okay.
Okay, let's get Lisa. Where are you, Lisa? Still on?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. How are you?
Do you have your camera off because you haven't been to the hair salon?
No, I just have to figure out how to turn it on. I had it off because I was lying in bed. Let me just see what I can do.
So we're trying to get everybody as much as we can, and I want your feedback from this as well, guys. So if you like this, and we'll do it again, because this is about us connecting to one another, helping each other out, knowing that you're not alone in this mess, and to know that we have hope still. So.
And I don't know how to turn the video on, but I can tell you, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. So, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I think I have to shut you off my speaker. So I'm a small landlord. I've been doing this for about 5 years, and I have a triplex, a semi, and a house. I think my biggest shock, I knew that there were some difficulties with the Landlord Tenant Board going in, but, and again, I know this is what everybody's heard already, but the fact that it's basically legislated theft just continues to boggle my mind. Mm-hmm. I have one particular tenant who, and obviously my error in picking her, but when people make up their references and things, that makes it difficult. Who just doesn't pay her rent. She hasn't paid her full rent since January. And she sends me notes each month telling me why not. So usually it's maintenance issues that she makes up. February, she wouldn't pay her rent till she got new kitchen counters. And her kitchen counters are bad, but she damaged them with this illegal washing machine she's got up there. March, she wasn't paying it because there wasn't enough parking, but she doesn't actually own a car nor a driver's license. So it's just, she took in a tenant that she hid. So in fact, she's paying slightly less than half her rent, taking in a tenant, has her boyfriend living there, and I'm sure claims as a single person. So things that really, if it was anywhere else, if I worked in a store and she took property without paying for it, if she was my employee, I would have recourse. So the thing that I'm most mind-boggled about, and that I think politicians need to see, because the one I contacted really didn't seem to have any idea, is that we're literally legislating the permissibility of theft, and we're the victims of that theft.
Lisa, if you want to, what business out there, if you don't pay your bill, does it not come with a late fee or interest?
Exactly. And I sent her a note last month, and it was interesting because she sent a note months ago saying she's only willing to accept communication Monday to Friday from 10 till 7. So I sent her a note last week saying, your rent hasn't been paid. It was a nice note. It shouldn't be, but it's nice. And, you still owe for February, you still owe for March, and now there's April. And, she sends a note saying, if you email me again, not during these times, I'm calling the police for harassment. Like, she's gutsy. And I kind of just laughed. I just sent a note back saying, and yet you're responding not during those hours. So, but I think that's my shock. And I think, I don't know what the answer is to it, but I'm not in a position where I could just I mean, it took me everything just to save up and get my first one and then the second.
Yep.
I will never, I've just sold one yesterday because I just can't keep doing the no rent thing. She's running this washing machine probably 8 hours a day. I don't know if she's actually doing a laundry business or just trying to drive up my hydro bills. Not paying the rent, taking in a boarder, has her boyfriend there. So I'm really at a loss. Like the gall, and she's tougher than I am. Like I don't have that, and she knows that ability just to get down in the mud and fight back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went online yesterday and I reported her to CRA. I'm assuming she's filing as a single person, and I'll send in. But I'm open to any other suggestions. But it's just, I think what somebody needs to, and my other question is, I don't understand the training of these adjudicators, or they're just following the law, that the decisions are so biased.
It is. There was a time that I spoke with a landlord and they said to us that they're actually on tonight. They asked if they owned other rental units, and because they did, they said yes. They thought that, okay, well, you're going to be able to house them until this time frame. And this is the part where we have to get into the concept that what are you doing now because of all that you're experiencing with this particular tenant? You're now going to be screening even harder to make sure that you get the best of the best. And this reality we have to do, because everything is at risk for the landlords that are out there right now.
Yep.
And we have
And I mean,
using the system and making sure that they can break the place, they can smash a window, and then property standards can go in and order you to do it.
And that's the thing with this counter. Like her counters are abysmal, but it's because she keeps damaging them with this washing machine. And I think, feel free to use my story, because the fact is I might have sold this unit anyway. Someone moved out and I just thought, you know what, enough is enough. But the timing is interesting because I'm, they were moving out, then this pandemic hit, then this lady didn't pay for the third month. And I thought, I can't afford to keep doing this. Market has gone up. Like it's one less really nice unit on the market now.
Yeah.
Because I can't count on any kind of support to get back what someone has stolen from me.
Now,
and they're not stealing it covertly. They're looking at that camera each day as they walk by and laughing. And it's overt, blatant theft. And there's nothing I can do about it. And they know it.
Lisa, we have the money that's going to be dished out right now from our elected officials from all levels. And they know, they're saying on the headline, it's for rent and it's for groceries. And we have people that's keeping it. What's going to happen when they spend that money and then the time comes and we start, hopefully being able to evict them, and then they start tapping into the different type of programs that are out there to help people get bailed out from an eviction. They're wasting taxpayers' dollars by doing if they're not working with us and they don't have a system for us to communicate. The way that Bill 184 is right now, they want to keep a database of N12s and N13s to keep track on which tenants are abusing or which landlords are abusing those type of forms, but they don't have anything that is going to track tenants who are at the board 3, 4, 5 times. Thank you so much. I really am hoping to do this again with all your feedback in the group. So if you like doing this, please let me know. And I want to be able to have and talk more, because I want to be able to give you some of the good news that we got going on.
Well, I emailed Doug Ford and I was up front. I said, you know what? I worked for you in that last campaign. A friend of mine was running. I was the office manager. I took 2 months off. I put this all in my letter, unpaid, to support you. Now I'm looking to you to support us being the landlords.
Without doubt, there's rent subsidy that's needed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They have to do this to keep it from falling apart now and in for the future.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my story.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate you. And if you ever need help or guidance, you got my phone number. So just message me.
Well, if you have any suggestions, and the funny thing is, if it was reversed, I'm sure this tenant would just lock me out of the building. But I can't and won't. So we keep taking the high road as landlords. We keep doing what's ethical while somebody.
Got Jacqueline Hyde going on.
Well, you mean we're one and they're the other. Like, again, I'm paying all the bills, I'm paying the hydro, I'm paying the everything. Yeah. I'm not locking her out when I could. And then my reward for that is someone damaging my unit, not paying me rent, and the government is giving me no recourse, or any of us.
Well, we know where our issues are. We have our solutions. Now we have to get a game and plan and start fighting, because we're not taking this no more. This was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak.
Let's hope so.
Thanks so much, Lisa.
Thank you.
So we want to get on to Vina. Vina.
There's a-
Hi, Kyla. How are you guys?
Good.
Obviously, yeah, thank you. A good forum. I'm listening to all of these and definitely get the sense that, you know, we're not in this alone. So that's good. So myself and my husband, we live in Mississauga. We own a couple of properties in Mississauga, rental properties. And so far, my tenants have all paid. And when I saw this April 1st potential, you know, don't pay rent movement, and, you know, it kind of occurred to me that that could possibly happen to us. Touch wood, it hasn't happened yet, but not to say that it may not happen in the future months. So I just wanted to get on this forum, find out how you guys work, you know, have that voice, because we are small landlords, you know, save up money, make some investments to help us retire as well. You know, life is, and you know, job security is not always constant, which all of us know. So it's as much to protect ourselves from those economic hits and have something in the back pocket. And, you know, reading about how the LTB works and how the RTA works, frankly, you know, it's a bit scary. I think Lisa or someone else mentioned that it's kind of scary to feel like you don't have any power and the other person can actually bully you technically and drag it out and make life a misery should they choose to. And that's why I wanted to come on this forum and connect with other landlords and yourself, and, you know, get that collective action going, if you will, as we go forward.
And that's what we've been doing. Like we bought, it's not just me anymore, and I'm trying to keep my mouth shut, because in the next 10 minutes we actually got to get to where we need to be here, probably less than 10 minutes, but we do have a game plan. We're definitely going to be letting everyone know here. It's great that you're in the group and you're commenting and giving us your suggestions, and just stay strong. As you know, this still is a good investment. It's a way that for us to protect our retirement fund, so that we don't have to rely on the government in order to keep us going in our old age. So definitely keep yourself tuned to our next journey of how we're going to do this, because it's a growing thing. It's never been, our small landlords we've been quiet. We haven't really been quiet. We're doing the normal process of our MPPs, the MP, doing our conferences, inviting them there, getting phone calls, but we need more. So thank you so much for joining on. And I have Paul Prince. We have Paul Prince. We'll have
me. All our tenants paid their rent. We had high expectations that we would. We believe we have good tenants, and they didn't disappoint. But I tell you, the last 2 weeks before that, after hearing what Doug Ford said, I was really stressed out, wondering what was going to go on. And I know there was
do you want to speak up a little bit, Paul? We're just having a few members can't hear you.
Oh, I'm on my laptop in my TV room, so.
No worries.
Is that any better? Maybe I'm just too far away.
Well, you can
Anyways, how did that rent strike go in Toronto? I haven't seen anything that said it was successful.
Well, it's a growing movement, and it's getting a lot. I was just on the news again on Thursday, and I think as this pandemic rolls out and more people are getting laid off, and it all depends on how their strut is and how far they can get out and getting their voices heard. And now they're asking for rent forgiveness, because they know this could definitely lead into an eviction later on when the LTB opens up. But we actually have to be our loud voices as well, and we have to get ourselves out there asking for this rent subsidy in order for us to keep our buildings afloat, and to make sure that, you know, our tenants are able to technically pay, because it's not about the money rent subsidy going to the tenant. We have to have it come directly to the landlord in order for us to keep managing the properties that we have, to keep maintaining it, and to keep allowing the type of funds that we need to keep investing. And doing deferrals on your mortgages is not going to be anything good. But we just want to thanks so much, Paul. I don't mean to rush you off. We're going to do this again. We're going to take one more on the call list. If we can have Vivian Wong. Vivian Wong. I know people look for the mute button, so we want to make sure everyone's there. No? Okay, so let's get into Victoria. Do you have Victoria? Maybe she didn't want to come on anymore. Let's see here. TC. Do we have TC? Oh, Vivian is there. So do we have Vivian? Come on, we were on a roll, guys. How do we do that?
Vivian said in the chat that sorry, audio issues.
Oh, okay, okay. She needs to up the volume. Okay, let's got, who else do we have here? Tara Fegan? Tara Fegan? Do we have Tara? Terra.
Hey.
Hey. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
You're gonna be our closer. Tell us like it is. What?
Oh gosh, tell it like it is. Well, I've got 6 doors, and I know for a fact 2 have not paid, 2 are empty, and I have no idea about the other 2.
And now you're stuck too. You don't really want to place them with anybody based on, you know, the rent strike movement or the danger of actually being out there with the coronavirus.
Well, so my property management, so my one property's in Chatham, and I'm in Fergus, so I can't get down there for it. So they've decided that part of their business right now is to hold, so I can't place. I'm stuck.
Wow.
There's nothing.
What would you change? What would you want to see changed from our elected officials?
I'd like to see them not promote rent as an escape, right? It's still required. Food, shelter, those are your hierarchy of needs. They need to be taken care of first.
I agree.
And then everything else after that can be, you know, negotiated. But those are your needs. Those are the 2 things you need.
Yep.
So why is one higher than the other?
You know what? We got to keep getting louder. I can't wait to introduce the team that we have now to support us. It's going to be fantastic. We have, it's just taken a way to structure how we have to get our voices heard. And I'm so glad to have you guys there, knowing these issues, knowing, you know, having some solutions. But this is about bringing more warriors to win this war, because we're doing it not only for the good landlords, we're doing it for the good tenants, and we're doing it for the taxpayers. I'll just jump on really quickly now with Martin. He's been following my crazy shenanigans for years. And we want to get some FaceTime with him.
Hey, how's everyone?
Good.
Thanks very much for letting me in here.
Don't roll me over time and we'll be fine.
You guys are really good speakers, and I hope I can live up to the way you're talking here. I've made a few notes, and just basically, first of all, 3 of my 4 have paid, and the one of them's been consistently late. We've taken her, given her the N5s for different issues, N4, and of course now going after an N8. But after a month of waiting, we could not get a court date, and now the pandemic. So that was one thing. I think, and I've heard this a lot from different people, and being a real estate broker for the last 20 years, One of the things that comes up consistently is that people would like to be able to evict a tenant so that they can do repairs to sell their property for more money. You know, there's many times you could lose, you spend maybe $5, $7, $10,000 and you make 30, 40, 50,000. But you can't evict a tenant because to do that, and I think that that's wrong. Where am I here? Rooms provided to tenants in case they don't have access to internet. So it was discussed earlier that we could maybe have face-to-face meetings, and that some tenants don't have access to internet or don't have access to the same type of technology that we have, a Zoom or whatever. Well, why couldn't Service Ontario have just separate rooms with little kiosks or small little boardrooms that they could go in? There's a mediator there, put them onto a video, and then the three of us or whoever's involved can have a meeting that way. People coming up for mortgage renewal will now see an increase in rates, even though the overnight lending rate has gone down. Man, the rates seem to be going up. We're at what, 0.25 for the overnight rate, but yet now rates have gone up. So, and that's primarily because the banks are getting worried about people who don't have jobs and trying to keep mortgages, people from getting in over their heads and not even applying. So we're going to have to see an increase of greater than 2%, 1.5 to 1.8 over the last few years, 2.2 this year. Well, when the rates go up, now what?
Yeah,
There's going to be a lot of people, their head underwater. So that was the overnight. I think to help get rid of some of the slumlords, which make us all look bad, there actually should be a training course, even if it's an online course, something, a training course to become a landlord. And before you can download the Landlord Tenant Board form, the Ontario standard lease, I should say, that you should have to have a course under your belt to even be able to rent. And I think I think a lot of the issues are either communication issues, or they could be cultural issues, that because people come from different countries, they do things differently, and they think that they can continue to do that in Ontario, where we have different values and different ways of doing things.
Remember though, if we work ourselves into a course in itself, we already have a hard time trying to get landlords to want to be landlords, and making something more mandatory when we don't even have our tenants getting their type of education on that side of it, it does, you know, just hinder the fact that we need a black and white RTA and LTB. It's black and white. It's pay your rent, don't cause damages, be nice to your other neighbors, be nice to your landlords, and everything should be fine. But the way that they want to make things so complicated, that's what's going to really drive people away from wanting to invest in here. But again, it's going to be based on our real estate and what we can purchase our real estate to depend on what our rental rates are. But if we keep creating more of a supply into the market, we landlords have to get competitive with our rates. But now with this pandemic, you never know what the housing market's going to be. But Martin, I want to be able to talk to you more. I really want to do this again, but I'm going to be able to give you guys an update of what's going to be happening. Okay, so as you can tell that I've been doing this for 10 years. I feel embarrassed at the same time to say that I've been doing this for 10 years. 4 years was for water billing. Then we started learning the RTA, the LTB. We started getting our members collectively into a Facebook group so that we can all manage each other. We do want to get ourselves into a little bit different of an atmosphere, so it's not all on Facebook. We don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket. And we also want to be able to try to get a newsletter out to our members to make sure that we can keep you in the loop of the advocacy levels efforts that we are doing. Number one is that we have not been operating as a lobbyist. We have not. It hasn't really came to us based on if we are a lobbyist, a company has to hire us or vice versa. But we've now explored that option of being a lobbyist, and that we're going to be getting ourselves invited to the actual seating. Like, we've already been invited to this big consultation, to over 200 people that were invited. There was provider, social agencies, there was a handful of landlords, the rest of them were developers, but we have to get ourselves as that lobbyist status. So we're proud to say that we will be registering as a lobbyist now on Monday. With this lobby group, it's not just going to come. With just me anymore. We got a team, and we're going to be building this team as we go, and we're going to need the support of our members to take us to the next level of our advocacy. And we realized that when I wanted to talk to a lawyer after they put this whole eviction on hold, and I had to pay you got to pay $600 just to talk to the lawyer on the phone, $10,000 as a retainer, and $250 for just to get ourselves managing that $10,000 retainer. So you don't know what the end budget is, like what you'd be selling your firstborn just to pay for the lawyer right now. And because of the pandemic, we're like, is that the option that we want to go right now because of the pandemic? Because it might have to let them work harder, it might not go anywhere. So we might be able to put them on the back burner right now. But in the same time, we have to form ourselves. We're going to be the biggest lobbyist group for mom and pop operations. This is what is needed. This is what we need to do to promote the lobby group, to be a part of it together. This is a way for us to introduce the team that I brought to you tonight. They're all on here. I'm going to start off with Elizabeth Kelly. Elizabeth Kelly is one of our first directors of the lobby group. And Elizabeth's going to come on and let you know what she brings to the team. Elizabeth.
Hi, Kayla. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming out and giving up a bit of time on your Saturday evening. We appreciate it. My name's Elizabeth Kelly. I am a landlord and property manager in Kirkland Lake, Ontario, so really, really far north from everybody else, it sounds like. I've been a real estate investor for the last 15 years, and I've invested in most of the provinces across the country. I love the market in Ontario, but the Residential Tenancy Act here just makes it so much harder to be able to do business. And we have a number of landlords that we represent as well. You know, some of them 3 units, 5 units, 10 units, and you know, one bad tenant can just wipe out an entire year of income for them. So that's why I wanted to participate as part of the group. I love what Kayla is doing, and I think this is our time. This is our opportunity to make some really positive change and to make it much more appealing and attractive, and provide a better return for all of us as landlords.
And what will you be bringing to the team? You are the director of?
Marketing and communication.
Perfect. So we're going to put a lot of details. We're going to get these people where you can get in contact with them so that you know that we are building our powerhouse team. Now, the next person we want to get on is Christian. Christian, where are you, my friend?
I'm right here. I'm just hiding probably on a back screen somewhere.
You'll be the director of?
Director of Research, apparently. So my name is Christian Spilfogel, and I'm part of the Aliferis group here. I'm a real estate investor full-time, as well as a real estate coach. So the reason I decided to get involved in this organization is because I was a small housing provider at one point, and I know how much risk small landlords take on. It's a disproportionate amount of risk compared to everybody else in the market. And if we take a look at the data, we recognize that 50% of the rental housing in Canada is actually provided by small independent landlords. So it doesn't take much to realize that making positive changes to encourage people to enter and not leave the residential housing provider market and to become small-scale landlords will make a huge difference to available housing in this country. And that helps tenants, and it helps society overall. So that's my story, and that's why I'm passionate about the work that Kayla is doing and why I'm happy to be with this team.
Thank you so much, Christian. We're already been working in the back office anyways, but now you guys are coming to the group, and I'm so proud to be able to announce you guys on tonight. And then we have Melissa.
Hey everyone.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. My name is Melissa. I'm located in Niagara region. I'm a real estate investor, of course, as many or all of you are. And I have joined the team as a director of finance. My background is banking as well. I'm a senior consultant for business effectiveness nationally at one of our banks. And so I certainly have a good handle on those things. And really, I mean, everyone deserves to have a home, and everyone has to live somewhere. And the abuses that we see in the system right now are because it's very flawed. And I think that we need to do better for our landlords. We need to do better for our tenants. And how we do that is, yes, through education, but also through advocacy. Change does need to happen. I've really put a lot of focus in becoming better connected within our community over the last year or so of landlords. You're typically out there on your own. You're a lone wolf. Trying to figure things out, and thanks to social media now, we have an opportunity to lean on our peers who've maybe been through some of the things that we're going through, but what we really need is change. And so I really am looking forward to making things better. That's something that I kind of like to do as a whole. And again, the advocacy piece here, and this is what we need to do, is we need to get organized. CMHC has, as we said, they've defined that 50% of the housing comes from small landlords, and that's who we are. And we should have a voice, and it concerns me very much that we don't. And I see people suffering financially for that. Simply because they chose to be a housing provider, and so we need to come together, and that's why we're here now.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And then we have Sarah Larby.
Awesome. Thanks for the invitation. So I am officially going to be the Director of Community Engagement and ensuring that our group and Kayla is in front of as many landlords as possible, as many investors as possible. I am going to be doing that through being a co-founder of the Right Club, having a couple really well listened to Canadian real estate podcasts, and just also being connected to a lot of other real estate investing groups out there that meet. And so the more that we can get out there, get our voices heard, the more that we can have people join forces and really, you know, have one voice towards a common cause rather than, you know, spinning our wheels each individually. So super excited about this. I am a landlord, and I will continue to be a landlord, but I'll be honest, if this RTA doesn't get changed, it's going to be, to me, I think it's going to be a big risk for a lot of people that are going to come out of the business. But I think it's important to provide tenants with good housing, but in return, we ask for payments and we ask for, you know, certain things as well. So I think it's just important that we figure out what are those key things that we're going to lobby for, and get everybody on board and move into that same direction together.
Awesome, Sarah. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you on the team. Then we have Sean Leclerc from Kingston. He was here. I did let him in. He might have changed his mind now after he heard all the stories. Where are you, Sean? Okay, we're gonna pass Sean. You're making me look bad, Sean. Darlene.
Darlene, you're muted.
Okay, there, I fixed it. Thanks, Sarah. My name is Darlene. I am the assistant to the lead director, and my role here is to assist Kayla. And my background actually is in social service. I came from that area, and I love the fact that I can still do that as a private investor. I'm here to make money. I don't know if anybody said that yet, but I really am here to make money. And there's nothing wrong with making a profit in housing. And so that kind of directive has to change. That's why I'm involved in this. I really do care about people. I really do care about clients. But we're all in here to make money, and it shouldn't be this difficult. We want to be fair. We want to be effective, and we all need to band together to make sure that happens.
Thank you so much, Darlene. Then we have Tony Miller from Ottawa. Tony, put the pie down. Tony.
Tony, you're muted, buddy.
You missed my whole spiel. Yeah, hey everyone, my name is Tony Miller. So I'm the co-founder of the Ottawa Real Estate Investors Conference. I host a big meetup too, Tony Miller Real Estate Investing Meetup. I'm an investor-focused realtor and investor. And the reason I'm getting into this really is because of about 80% of my clients are new investors, new to intermediate sort of thing. And I've seen a lot of the issues that they've run into when it comes to just the RTA, not so much the LTB, but really dealing with tenants, you know, on a day-to-day basis. So I want to be able to make things easier for them. And I'm joining in as Director of Government Relations, provincial and municipal, and been doing this for at least at the local level since about 2013 or so, and engaged already. So I'm looking forward to engaging officials and you know, getting our voices heard along with Kayla, and it's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it, and happy to be part of the team.
Thank you so much, Tony. And we have Tom from the Durham area.
Everyone, my name is Tom Sullivan. I'm a chartered accountant, and I've been investing now for about 5 years. I started off really quick, but with the slowing change of the RTA and finding out that it's not investor friendly as much, I started changing my role a bit. I did retire from my job just recently to try to build upon this better, and I've been an activist in the Durham region, trying to help out both landlords and tenants. So we're not here just to make it better for landlords. We're trying to make it a win-win situation for landlords and tenants. And that's the biggest thing that people got to realize. We're not just doing it for landlords, we're doing it for the tenants as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big thing that we have to push, is we are trying to make it a better life for tenants. And by doing so, it's going to make a better life for ourselves.
Couldn't agree with you more, Tom. Thank you so much. And can't wait to have you really embedded into the team and getting to meet with all the members in there. Then we have Michelle.
Hi. So I kind of became a landlord by default because I had some emotional attachment to properties and just kind of fell in this. Had to learn a lot of things all on my own. I'm sure that there's many others out there that have done that. Some of them have been very costly. Some of them, others have, I'm sure, have experienced that as well. I manage my own properties. I hate being held hostage to anything, and especially when it becomes very costly, because I work hard for my money, and I'm tired of being felt like I'm dirty at the Landlord and Tenant Board, like I'm that dirty, filthy, rich landlord that should just suck it up and eat it up and just pay for everything, and they should have all these choices. So in order to have any kind of change, I felt I had to get involved. I'm looking at retirement in the next 5 years, so I mean, I will be downscaling, but there has to be change in order for us to survive, because I cannot see the system surviving without change. So that's why I became involved. And I am the Director of Membership and Volunteer Coordination.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate all your help that you've been putting into this so far. Jen, I know she wasn't feeling well, so we should have Jen. We know she's right there beside me. I got my left arm and I got my right arm now, because without balancing 4 kids, someone's got to help me.
Hi. Yeah. About 13 years ago, I started dating a guy that had a duplex. So I kind of fell into being a landlord because we've been together for 13 years now. We now have 45 units, and about 3 years, well, almost 3 years ago, I met Kayla and kind of changed my life. She hijacks all my spare time, which I actually really enjoy. So I've been helping past 3 years, which has been amazing. I've learned so much from her and from every member in the group. So I'm here to kind of return the favor to new members and help them navigate this crazy business that we all decided to get involved in. Kayla made me the assistant to her as well. So I don't know exactly what job title because I wasn't feeling well last night, so I couldn't join. So she'll tell you what I'm supposed to do, but I'm just here to help and make sure that we're heard and that everything becomes fair.
Thank you so much, Jen. And this is not only that we come on here tonight and we talk about our lobby group that's going to be the biggest that we're going to be putting a lot of our effort into, but through that time frame and knowing that we have a team to give me help to be able to do what we need to do as small landlords of Ontario, is that Jen and I have opened up a property management company in Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, and Brantford in order to help our landlords here, to protect them, to watch what tenants we need to be watching out for. Everyone's been asking me to do this for 10 years, and I was like, no. But I realized through the type of interactions that we're having with people, it's a need. And I'm very proud to say that I'm joining that with Jen in order to be a property manager. But believe you me, my heart is advocating for the landlords of Ontario. And that is where it's going to make everyone from small, big landlords, good tenants, our taxpayers, we need to do what we need to do and fight. And sometimes you need to have your lobby group, you need to have your memberships, you need to, honestly, you got to pay to play. And that's what's sad to say, that I got that title from Darlene there. She's like, you got to pay to play. And if they know we have votes and we have funds to donate to their campaign, but you know what, with our community that we're able to put together so quickly on how close we are, we're going to be able to do a lot of things being registered as our lobbyist group. And I'm telling you, we're never going to be down. The next step that I would like to do as I send this recording to our elected officials is that I am personally putting an invitation out to all of the elected officials to join us on the newfound way of 2020 meetings. And we're going to join us a Skype or Zoom, probably Zoom, I like Zoom. We're going to do a Zoom meeting with all of the directors of our newfound lobby group in order to really hash out what needs to be changed, not just for our business, it's for the goodness of the taxpayers' money being respected, and as well as for our tenants that are out there. And you know what, we're not nasty people. We're able to be worked with, but you had to give us the proper tools to do so. So with everyone that attended tonight and coming on the camera, I can't thank you enough. The team, our directors that we're going to be putting out there, you guys better send me a good photo, or I'm just going to take whatever one I can find on your Facebook, because everyone's going to need to know who's actually out there advocating and making sure that we can go ahead and be the voice for the small landlords of Ontario, so that we can do what we can and make proper changes and be up there sitting at the table doing what we can. And we're not going to back down now, because this is for the sake of our housing stock. Anybody got any last questions before we sign off for the night? Thank you so much, Katie. It is a power team. It is. I hope to do this again for you guys. So just stay tuned to our public page for our events and our links to it. And I want to be able to keep giving you more updates on what we're doing as lobbyists. So stay tuned, because we are, like I said, we're not going to quite have all of our eggs in one basket on Facebook. So stay tuned for our newfound home that we're going to do for our members that are going to be joining our lobby group. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Please be safe out there. You may look stupid with the mask on, but just wear the mask. Put the gloves on. Don't go out if you have to. Just stay inside and join the Zoom, and we'll keep you company.